Ocala, and the University of Florida. This is WUFT News, first at 5.
After a big day on Wall Street Wednesday, stocks dipped today due to uncertain economies both here at home and overseas. Good evening, I'm Trent Kelly.
And I'm Empriss Campbell. But there is good news. On Main Street, there are signs consumer confidence is on the rise. Here's NBC's Michelle Franson.
Despite a global slowdown in growth, manufacturing in the U.S. is up overall. A report by the Institute for Supply Management shows new orders in factories for computer and electronics, wood, and textiles rose last month. Consumers are showing the most confidence when it comes to spending. Holiday sales for Black Friday prove that. Shoppers spent a record $52 billion on gifts, including electronics, clothing, and toys.
Celebrating the holiday season.
And 'tis the season to buy cars and trucks. Chrysler reported a 45% jump in sales from a year ago. Nissan, 19%. And General Motors cruising in with a 7% increase. When it comes to hiring, the outlook isn't as festive. New jobless claims were higher than expected last week, and businesses are slowly adding to their payrolls. The stock market is also riding a roller coaster due to the global slump and Europe's credit crisis.
We hear continued worry verging on a almost sense that it's inevitable that Europe is going to have a significant crash.
A mixed bag for the economy, and one experts say could carry over into the new year. Michelle Franson, NBC News, New York.
And here's a look at how stocks closed on Wall Street today. The Dow was down 25 points, a far cry from yesterday's 400-point rally. The Nasdaq, meanwhile, finished up 5 points as tech stocks saw small gains today. The S&P fell 2. And tomorrow will be a big day on Wall Street as well, as investors eagerly await the monthly jobs reports.
Gainesville police are searching for a gunman who robbed a woman last night. A man approached the victim just before midnight at Vision South Apartments. That's behind Sorority Row. She says the man threatened her with a gun and forced her to the ground. GPD spokeswoman Angelina Valori says the woman was able to escape.
Luckily, that victim had her cell phone in her hand. She immediately called her boyfriend and started screaming for help. Her boyfriend had no idea what was going on, dialed 911, and GPD got there as quickly as possible.
The woman was treated for a sore neck and a knee injury.
Students on college campuses across the state are rallying to protest the tuition increases in Florida that are taking place each year. WUFT's Zach Aldridge was on the scene at UF's rally today, and he has this report.
There's strength in numbers, or so they say. Students at several universities across Florida rallied today against tuition hikes. Here at the University of Florida, the Gator Student Alliance organized a march to a Board of Trustees meeting. When the recession triggered years of state budget cuts, the Florida legislature gave the go-ahead to public universities to raise tuition 15% each year. But students have their own ideas.
The first one is to repeal all the tuition hikes that they passed for the 2011-2012 legislative year. The next one is to put a moratorium on all of the future tuition hikes that they hope to implement in the future.
The steep hikes were authorized to continue until tuition for state schools reaches the middle of the pack nationwide.
So, I mean, it is 45th lowest. And until a few years ago, it was near dead last. So, you know, at the moment, the University of Florida remains a huge value.
Students just want their voice heard.
The entire crowd that marched to Empriss Alumni Hall today is hoping to be able to speak with the Board of Trustees about stopping the rising costs of tuition.
Everyone should have an equal opportunity to be able to go here. And the fact is, if they keep raising tuition, they make it so that it's inaccessible for working students, for minority students, whoever.
Zach Aldridge, WUFT News.
The Board of Trustees meets 2 times a year for 2 days. The Gator Student Alliance is hoping to speak at the educational policy meeting. Well, thousands are still without power as Los Angeles is cleaning up after a serious dose of Santa Ana winds. Sustained winds were as high as 80 miles per hour with gusts up to 97. These gusts toppled trees and downed power lines. In one area, 3 mobile homes were damaged by fire. The Santa Ana winds are common during cooler months as the winds squeeze through Southern California mountain ranges.
Well, Trent, after a downright chilly start to the day, the sun quickly warmed up things this afternoon.
That's right, Empress. It's time now to get our first look at the forecast from Bethany Laufer. And Beth, we went from near freezing temps to pretty warm weather in a matter of hours. Should we expect the same for tomorrow?
We'll have a similar pattern for tomorrow, but won't get quite as cold. As you can see, it's a little bit noticeably warmer for today. We have 64 degrees right now for Gainesville, 63 in Lake City, and 64 for Perry and Cross City. And these temperatures are about 10 degrees warmer than they were this time just yesterday. We're 8 degrees warmer here in Gainesville, 11 for Lake City, even getting up to 12 and 14 for Perry and Cross City. Even though it is warmer, we do still have some winter advisories up across north central Florida, but not here in Gainesville. We do have some advisories for Lake City. We have a frost advisory up because the temperature is going to be close to freezing for tonight. 33 degrees is their low, as well as Tallahassee. They're at 33. They do have a freeze warning up for Tallahassee and Perry, and also areas in between there, and also westward of the Panhandle as well. But low temperatures in Gainesville much warmer tonight at 38 degrees, and even into the 40s for Jacksonville, and even the 50s for St. Augustine and Daytona Beach. So much warmer than it was last night. If you're headed out in Gainesville for tonight, around this evening, around 8 p.m., temperatures will be around 50 degrees. It's going to be some clear skies, but it will be cold out there, so make sure you bring a jacket if you're going to be heading out later on this evening. I'll have your full forecast, including your weekend, coming up in just a few minutes. Now back to you guys.
Florida A&M University says it's dismissing 4 students for their role in the death and possible hazing of a marching band drum major. Robert Champion was found dead after the school's football team lost to a rival. His death has marked an investigation into whether FAMU has ignored past warnings about hazing. The university's president did not specify what the 4 dismissed students did, but did say it was connected with Champion's death. His parents have filed a lawsuit against the school.
And this needs to stop. No one wants to be standing in our shoes. No one wants to hear on a phone call that your son collapsed and died over the phone.
Hundreds mourned Champion at his funeral Wednesday. Governor Rick Scott called on university presidents today to examine hazing rules. He asked all 11 universities to review their anti-hazing rules and penalties. Traffic on Newberry Road in Gainesville was blocked for a short amount of time early this morning. WFT's Chris Day visited the scene and has the report on the cause.
If you roll by the intersection of Newberry Road and 8th Avenue, something is out of place. A suspected drunk driver nearly hit a local business when he slammed into a large boulder on the corner.
No, thankfully, you know, the rock obviously has seen better days, but hopefully we'll be able to get it back up there. And yeah, the building's fine, no damage, so we're lucky.
Early this morning, a driver was coming down 8th Avenue when they jumped the curb and drove right through this lawn, narrowly missing a tree and the side of this building before slamming into that boulder and knocking it into the middle of Newberry Road.
Police say the driver failed 4 field sobriety tests, but this isn't the first time a driver at this intersection found themselves between a rock and a hard place.
A different drunk driver, maybe a year or so ago, hit that rock, and then someone came through the building a couple of years before that. I'm not sure if that was a drunk incident or not.
And in the past few years, we've had a couple incidents where single vehicles have crashed into the boulder. Our most recent case was in 2010, and that driver was also arrested for DUI.
No one was injured in this morning's incident. Chris Day, WUFT News.
The boulders are far from the road, and Gainesville police say they are not a hazard for drivers who stay aware of their surroundings and follow the speed limit.
Well, with the change in weather, more and more people are bound to change that number on their thermostat, increasing their utility bill. But one nonprofit organization in Ocala says these months are critical for its services. WUFT's Joanna Wise has more.
For Donald Hunt, sorting through countless numbers of donated goods never gets old.
It makes me feel good. I'm retired and it keeps me out of the wife's hair.
But at one point, the numbers became smaller, and there wasn't much to count here at the Interfaith Emergency Services warehouse in Ocala.
A month ago, it was empty. We might have had, well, maybe 100 pounds of food.
Now the shelves are stocked, but with the change in weather and the holiday season, Interfaith will be facing some upcoming challenges.
One is definitely in December with the spike in electric bills because of people having to run their heat more. And it's also Christmas, so a lot of people, you know, if they want to buy, they have to make a choice. If I want to buy toys for my kids, I can't afford groceries too.
Interfaith receives thousands of pounds of food donations from city organizations, schools, and people in the community. But what you may not realize is how quickly a warehouse full of food like this can become a warehouse full of empty shelves. Just a little while ago, the Forest High School ROTC program donated 12,000 pounds of food. It sounds like a lot, and it is, but it lasted only 2 weeks. Grimsley says food drives are a big contributor to the future of their success, but more important may be reminding community members they can individually donate food at any time. Joanna Wise, WUFT News.
And if you're interested in helping out Interfaith, you can donate to On Top of the World Food Drive along with other upcoming drives. Just go to Interfaith's website, that's iesmarion.org, for more information. Well, while many people are celebrating the holiday season, December 1st is also World AIDS Day.
It's a day not only to remember those who have lost the battle with HIV, but also celebrate breakthrough AIDS research, how world leaders are participating in World AIDS Day, and also what the University of Florida is helping AIDS research, all coming up in just 90 seconds.